All right, looks like we are live. I am excited to be here today. I am Kitty Shambliss of Loving Without Boundaries, and I am joined today by our amazing Coach B, who's our mindset coach. And we have another incredible topic to talk to you about, which we will get to in a moment. And we are honored to be here. So if you are seeing this on social media in general and you are not part of our online community, know that if you like what we're talking about, if you are looking for like-minded peers and a supportive environment, you can come join us on Facebook if you're on Facebook, and just simply do a search for the group Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Lifestyle Freedom, and healthy open relationships and lifestyle freedom. And join our group. There'll be 3 questions for you to answer. We're almost 15,000 people strong at this point. And if you're part of that community, welcome. If you're new, and thanks for being here. If you've been here for a while, we started that group back in August of 2015. So it's been a minute. And so I just want to make that announcement. And also, if you are familiar with my podcast of the same name, Loving Without Boundaries, the podcast has been nominated for Women in Podcasting. So it is an absolute honor to be nominated in the relationship category. So if you have already voted, it is a voting system. I want to thank you for your support and honoring and uplifting female voices in the podcasting world. And if you haven't, and if you'd like to consider it, if you go on social media, you can find the different links where we are promoting that. And I thank you in advance if you are willing to support women podcasters. There are various categories. It's free to vote. So you can vote in the relationship category if you'd like to vote for Loving Without Boundaries. And you can also vote for other podcasts led by women in other categories. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give the mic over to B to start us off with our topic, which is curiosity, enriching relationship flow. So I'm going to give the mic over to you, B, so that you can start to talk about that.
Thank you, Kiran. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm excited to bring this topic into our usual bi-weekly conversations here with Kitty. So why is it relevant to speak about curiosity? It's something that may not often come up in our conversations when we talk about relationship skills and creating relationship fulfillment. Yet when it comes to consensual non-monogamy, you very well know, who already practicing this lifestyle, that these daily challenges, whether it's emotional or logistical, can feel sometimes overwhelming. And curiosity is such a simple tool to create big transformations in a short amount of time. And I want to touch on a little bit deeper. And that's so, like with any other emotion, curiosity brings about its own chemical responses when it comes to what happens inside of the body. So when we start to get curious, that helps activate our reward system, our social bonding system, and also create some alertness. So not in a way that we get anxious, but it activates us being alert and paying attention. So it creates some space from certain disempowering emotions like fear, anxiety, anger. And it also helps us in the moment to not only shift emotional state, but also with that, to start noticing possibilities, to not feel stuck that there's no solution to our particular struggles, but start seeing multiply perspectives at the same time. So it's a really empowering place to be. The other area that I wanted to touch on is the long-term benefits of applying curiosity in our lives and relationships. So if we keep applying it over and over again, it helps us being explorative in our relationship and in our lives, which in turn, if we keep exploring and try new things, that they don't have to be like such life-altering things, but really just small things on a daily basis. With that, we keep creating emotional safety within ourselves, this internal abundance and trust and confidence with ourselves that we can handle new things, which can be a really important part when we talk about consensual non-monogamy. So over time, this can help create trust and safety with ourselves. And it's also a great pattern interrupt, as I touched on it. And when it comes to like big breakthroughs, if we're on a growth path, let it be relationship or career, for example, like we are trying to bring about some really big change in our lives, I want to highlight that there are three main elements of a breakthrough: our emotional state, our perspective, our stories, our meanings that we attach to certain events, and the strategies that we apply. Now, how comes curiosity into this picture is that it helps shifting our emotional state to a more empowered state in the moment, which in turn helps us shift our stories and our meanings of events to a more empowering one, which in turn helps us to execute the strategies that we apply, let it be communication strategies, when we set boundaries or an interview, for example, it helps us execute those strategies more effectively. So there are many, many benefits of tapping into curiosity on a daily basis, and these are just a few. And I also want to share some of my own breakthroughs with you, like how curiosity helped me. So at the beginning of my concession non-monogamous journey, I struggled a lot, like Kiri knows about all that. And I was absolutely sinking with jealousy, anxiety, and anger issues that unfortunately turned into self-harm as well. So I definitely had a lot of difficult emotions to navigate. And curiosity was a very important foundation for me to turn jealousy into compersion and to create what I call my own metamorph solution. So basically, showing up really supportive away from anxiety and jealousy in my relationship. And it started with a simple question, an empowering question like, I wonder what can happen or what might happen if I just take this tiny step. If I show up the best version of myself, I wonder what might happen if I show up 100% supportive. Where might that lead our relationship? How this might improve our connection? So it helped me stepping into a more empowering place and also gathering data about long-term comparability. So I definitely wanted to share this with you to inspire you that curiosity can be an often overlooked but super powerful tool.
Mm. Thank you for getting us started, B. And I deeply love this topic. And maybe what I'll touch on here is when we are not showing up in curiosity, and that can be very normal. When you think about it, when we see little children, right? Little kids are just naturally curious. You know, they want to run around and touch everything and ask why, why, right? And they just, their imagination is just huge. And somehow along the way, when we become adults, you know, whatever, whether that happens in our teenage years or maybe our early 20s, somewhere along the line, we may lose that sense of curiosity and wonder and awe, and just maybe feel a little beaten down by life. And it's no wonder, right? I mean, there can be different challenges that we need to face as adults. That's why we call it adulting. You know, we joke around like, I don't want to adult anymore today, right? And there's even certain communities where we welcome people who are in different, you know, cosplay, you know, literally pretending to be children, because we can miss that piece of our lives where we got to just be curious and imaginative and be in that space of wonder and awe. But when we are adults and we lose that sense of curiosity, it can lead to stagnation. It can lead to depression. And we may not even know that it's happening. We just might feel this either sense of ennui, you know, boredom at first, or discontentment or dissatisfaction. But we can start to spiral downward into hopelessness and feeling like a victim. And it's so sad, and it's understandable, because we can just kind of lose that curiosity and get tunnel vision of, you know, I've got to do my to-do list, I've got to get to work, I've got to pay the bills, you know, and you know, these are my patterns, and I don't get curious about why I do this thing, and this is just a thing that I do, right? And we can just keep repeating patterns and even thoughts and ways of being, and our emotions can also become a habit. So as a what I love about the profession of coaching is we're literally helping people to show up with more curiosity. You know, why is it that I put on my right shoe first and then my left shoe? You know, why is it that I have these different patterns in my life, so that you can learn to be more inquisitive, ask better questions. That's partly what we do as coaches, is help people guide them through that process of showing up with more curiosity, because from there, the whole world opens up. You can see more clearly. You can get more creative in terms of problem solving and looking for solutions when you are coming more from that place of curiosity and awe. So that's just something I wanted to kind of contrast a little bit. But I love this topic, B. So thank you for bringing it up. And I'll give the mic back over to you.
That was really beautiful, Kitty. And I loved how you contrasted, like sometimes we can fall into these patterns of pain as we move along life, and how curiosity showed up when we were children. So I like to touch on some consequences to add on what you already shared, like what might happen in our relationship, and any relationship, let it be our open relationships or with parents, friends, with kids, if we're not yet found our way back to this curiosity with intention. So sadly, what I experience myself, and what I can see, is that relationships can become reactive, meaning that there's no space between a challenging emotion like frustration, anger, resentment, and anger, and the behavior. So our emotions become our actions, and they can be really destructive to our own well-being and to our relationships as well. So this is where assumptions start to show up, like negative judgment. We tend to jump into conclusions. We keep showing up from a place is what we call the four horsemen of apocalypse: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. This is gonna hinder our emotional safety in our relationship and can throw our whole relationship dynamic off balance. And similar emotions can overwhelm us, like you talked about, Kay, like this feeling stuck. And we can also fall into those patterns, like unintentional, that we keep bringing up the past hurt and past mistakes. And when curiosity is missing, then it's also a contributing factor when we tend to take other people's boundaries personally, that it must mean something bad about me, that there's something wrong with me. And also our boundaries can become a place of protection and separation instead of connection and collaboration. And what else can show up in relationships is trying to control the outcomes, because when we're not curious, we don't ask those questions, like that you alluded to, like, I wonder, why is this happening? I wonder where this might come from. We miss out identifying the specific needs that fuel our challenging emotions. And in the moment, all we want is just to go, the discomfort go away. And what happens when we do that and when we stay on that level is there's the tendency to control our environment and people around us and outcomes. So how this can show up more specifically is through power dynamics. So putting pressure on other people for them to mold into a shape that we would like them to be. It can show up as people pleasing. That's also a form of trying to control the outcomes. It can take the form of rescuing and perfectionism, for example. And all in all, this can help with short-term relief in the moment, yet in the long term, all of these particular behavioral patterns or strategies to get our needs met can create more upheaval in a relationship, not to mention deepening or already disempowering beliefs like I'm not enough, I don't matter, my needs don't matter. So there are like short-term negative consequences and definitely long-term negative consequences when we're not yet in touch with that curiosity inside of ourselves.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that, B. That was really powerful. So I really hope folks are listening and maybe taking notes from this incredible topic that we're talking about. And I'll just touch on another way that that can show up in terms of, if you think of that, if you're not curious, if you're kind of living by default and not really being inquisitive about what's going on, you may be caught in kind of like a toxic or dysfunctional dance with your partner or partners, and you may not even be aware of it. It just becomes your normal. It feels familiar. And I want to highlight, there's no shame in that, because guess what? Most of us have not been raised in completely functional, beautiful, healthy environments, right? A lot of us come from, whether it's homes where parents are divorced, or there's, different situations where there can be some toxicity that we learned as children when we don't know any better, right? And so as adults, we can start to repeat those patterns and bring them with us into the future if we don't get curious and become aware of it. So that's also where curiosity is so important, is to think like, I wonder why is a great place to come from. I wonder why I'm feeling crappy today. I wonder what might be a pattern from the past that I'm possibly repeating into the future. I wonder what needs to happen for me to shift this dance. I wonder how I can show up from a place of self-responsibility so that I'm honoring not only my needs and my values and my part that I'm playing in this dance that doesn't feel very good. And I also wonder how I can show up with curiosity and empathy and kindness for the other people in my life, whether they're family members, whether they're their partners, whether they're your children. So those are just really great ways to create some powerful shifts. And as we talked about earlier, have a breakthrough. And that's exactly what we have the honor to be able to help some folks through, because a lot of times we're not aware of it. So a lot of times working with a professional or a mentor, they can help you see the blind spots that you're not able to see. One of the ways we talk about that is if you're inside of a jar, so to speak, if you use your imagination there, you're not able to read the label that's on the outside of the jar because you're in it. You're in that dynamic. You're in your own head sometimes. And that's where sometimes working with a professional can really help you shift and create some positive change in your life. And I'll go ahead and give the mic back over to you, B.
I love this jar example, very well. It's been so helpful for me. And I like to stack on what you just shared and give everyone a quote here that maybe it's going to be a fun way to remember curiosity. I really love this one as well. Like, be curious, not furious. So,
Love that. I love that.
and I like to recap just briefly a few points that Kitty just mentioned. So curiosity can help us downregulate emotions in the moment and create spaciousness for solutions. It's a beautiful way of us learning to get in touch with our needs and have those beautiful needs-based conversations with our partners and understand their perspectives better as well, which is part of the empathy, like being able to take the other person's perspective. We might not agree with that, but we notice from a place of curiosity that it's valid as well. And that's going to help us keep in connection. It can also help us with momentum and motivation. And it is really a place of empowering questions like, I wonder why. I wonder why, and I wonder what might happen if I just take this one step, or if I just practice this one extra thing, or added this one extra thing to my conversation, or learned a new skill. This is also a place where we can take the learnings and gifts from the situation. So in a coaching context, what we so often do is take the learnings from the past and the gift and turn them into empowering states that can help us build an even better, more empowered future. So when we step into curiosity, we are giving ourselves a much better chance to take the learnings and take the gifts and build on them as stepping stones.
Awesome. Thank you for this, B. I love this topic so much. So so I just want to mention here that there are lots of different ways that you can learn to step into curiosity. And we gave you some questions so far. If you've been taking notes, you can always watch the recording again if you want to write them down. So if anything that we're saying is resonating with you, know that we are here to help. So you can come join our free online community on Facebook at lovingwithoutboundaries.com. I'm sorry, Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom. You can also listen to the podcast, which you can find at the website, lovingwithoutboundaries.com, as well as my blog. And also know that if you are wanting to take a deep dive and you do want to work with a mentor and a coach, that it starts with a conversation. So if you want to have that conversation, it's a free breakthrough call, because first we have to see, can we help you? Where are you at? Are you ready to go on that journey? And we'll be really honest with you, have an authentic conversation with you. You can go ahead and book that at lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. That will take you into my calendar. Just pick a time that works for you. There'll be a brief form for you to fill out that just sets us up for success on the call. And then, like I said, we'll just have an honest conversation so I can get an overview of where you are, determine if I and our team can help you. And then we'll talk about what that might look like. And if we're not a fit, it's totally okay. I will let you know that as well. And I will do my best to steer you in the best direction for you so that you get a lot of value and clarity from that conversation. Some people say that it's one of the most important conversations they've had in a very long time, looking honestly at what's really going on in their life and their relationships in their journey to live their most authentic life. So I'll give the mic back over to you, B, for any comments that you would like to make before we say goodbye.
What I like to give this amazing audience, as always, is a few questions that I prepared, like self-reflective questions that can possibly tap into your curiosity. Without further ado, I'm just going to list the questions. So question 1 is, remember a time when you felt curious about something in your life, even if it was just a little bit of curiosity. How did that curiosity feel in your body? So where was that located? How did it feel for you in the body? And the second question is, when you feel upset, what is one simple thing that you can notice about how you react? So emotionally and with your behavior as well, or maybe some of the things that you say when you're upset. Question 3, in what area of your relationships could a little bit more curiosity make a big difference in how you solve problems and navigate challenges with your partner or partners? And question 4, what is one simple thing that you can be curious about today that might improve how you interact with your partners?
Oh, B, those questions are magic. So if you didn't write those down, go back, listen to the recording again, and write those down. Those are gold that B just gave you there. So again, we care about you. We care about your well-being. If you are looking for support, we give you lots of different ways to get that support. So know that you aren't alone in living your most authentic life and learning to shift some different things that may be showing up in your life and in your relationships and in your patterns to feel more satisfied, more fulfilled, more happy, and really stepping into the best version of you. So we are here to support you, and we really truly care about your well-being. So if you're needing support, please reach out. And until then, we'll say bye for now.
Bye.